One advantage Cathay brings to the table against the vampire counts and a lot of factions is a pretty good access to magic damage. Of course, they do prevail largely in land battles. We'll see. Some of the changes to domination in Immortal Empires might make them a bit better there. But today, facing off against the vampire counts, I've got MIAO leading the way. Double Terracotta Sentinel with 2 Celestial Dragon Guard to support them, including, of course, the Dune Dragon, Regiment of Renown. Got 2 Peasant Archers just for the harmony, Iron Hail Gunners for a bit of DPS, and 2 Astromancers on the Wujing War Compasses for that sweet AoE damage and magic overcharge. For my opponent here, coming in with Vlad von Karstein, he's got a Banshee, some Crypt Ghouls, plenty of Skeleton Warriors, the Stearnsmen, Graveguard Regiment of Renown in the center, Skeleton Spears, Varix Reavers out on the far side, and the Devils of Schwarzhofen up in there, some more Crypt Ghouls and Bats in the back. So definitely heavily outnumbered. You can see my opponent's force almost 2-to-1 numbers advantage against me, but going back to the magic damage, of course, all Cathay casters, caster heroes, lords, everyone does magic damage. That includes, of course, the Astromancer. Also includes the Sentinels. They're not casters, but they definitely deal magic damage. Smashing through some of these skeletons here. As the Bats descend in the back, they're going to swoop down and try and get on my missile units, obviously. But we're going to start to drop that sweet AoE damage. A nice Comet Strike right here in the center. We'll keep the health bars up so you can appreciate. It's going to do a pretty good amount of damage. Could have been perhaps a little bit better, but that's okay. The Astromancer's armor will also help him kind of tank the damage of the Crypt Ghouls and deal some damage to them fairly effectively. A little bit of a lightning strike over here. My opponent does a pretty good job of dodging that one for the most part. The Bats also tying up my missile units. Again, I kind of expected this to happen. I didn't think I was going to be able to keep these guys online for a long time. As long as I can, though, would be nice. I'm going to throw in an Earthblood here. Keep these Dune Dragons topped up as well. They've only lost a single model so far, fighting against the Stearnsmen. Of course, with the support of MIAO. Vlad now getting into the back line, casting some spells. Looks like some zombie summons. We're going to drop another Comet. This is just on a Skeleton Warrior, so value-wise, that's actually probably not the best, but definitely looks very impressive. And all things considered, you know, the Devils of Schwarzhofen, their AP is definitely going to be a problem, and form switching is also going to allow MIAO to escape the grasp of these foot characters. Not that the Banshee is a huge danger to her, but definitely doesn't want to fight Vlad on the ground in that type of a situation, so he's now going to come down, and yeah, I don't know why I just dived the Banshee right there, but there you go. Sentinel's also charging back, trying to get in a position to help out MIAO. Another nice lightning strike there. That AoE magic damage of the Astromancers on the compasses, just the compasses in general, so great for clearing out hordes of chaff, which of course the vampires are definitely going to bring. That said, my missile units have been routed off, and MIAO is starting to take some significant damage. Invocation of the Heck here on the Banshee, also to keep her nice and topped up. Another thing, too, is like the attack animations of my single entities are going to get distracted quite a bit, going into the Vargeist and the zombies and everything else, and not actually hitting the Banshee very consistently. But feeling like I need another heal in the vicinity. Dropped a nice Comet there. Did some friendly fire to the Dune Dragons, but I'm going to go ahead and upgrade Earthblood, overcast that, does a little bit of miscast damage, and again puts the transform on a timer, so puts MIAO in a little bit of a dangerous position. She's going to have to skate away on her lightning, try and get away from Vlad. Vlad's pretty quick. The Sentinel also following the pack here. Should be interesting. Skeleton Spears moving in to help assist. Devils of Schwarzhofen also, my opponent's been doing a pretty great job cycle charging with them, to be honest. Nice upgraded Earthblood as well. I think I've got Storm of the Night coming from MIAO. Cast that, I think, once before, but you can see the damage. This is even non-upgraded, is significant. Just absolutely shreds of those Skeleton Spears. Varix Reavers also have been doing a pretty good job cycle charging right now, just kind of hanging back for the time being. But can start to get into combat here. They're not Blood Knights. They're not going to do as much damage to the Sentinels, but they can definitely help out. One more Lightning Strike, and I think all my AoE damages have been expended here. Maybe actually one more on the far side from this other Astromancer. Oh, that was a Comet. There you go. Dropped it right on some Bats and the last of these Grave Guards here. And that does mean most of the high-value targets are offline. That being said, the Astromancer actually gets terrified away here, not immune to psychology, and, you know, vulnerable to the terror of the Banshee. My opponents managed to keep the Banshee alive the entire time, which is quite impressive, all things considered. Astromancer does come back and wig out a little bit, but Miao Ying just trying to avoid Vlad and the Banshee still as much as possible. Screen with the 2 Sentinels. Can only take up so much space, though, but we do get a nice Earthblood in there. Hits Miao herself, and yeah, just trying to wait for the cooldown of the Transform to expire so I can go for it once more. That being said, both of my Celestial Dragon Guard have basically taken no damage here. Similar, you know, to the Lizardman matchup before, that Elite Halberd, you know, for Lizardmen, for High Elves and Dark Elves, historically, for not so much for Warriors of Chaos because they kind of lack tools to punish a Mortis Engine. And Cathay I would put in the camp of the Elves and the Lizardmen, where they definitely have the tools to punish Mortis Engine potentially. Though, while it might still be a good pick against Cathay, it's not as much of an issue as, say, Warriors of Chaos would run into previously. But that Elite Halberd, especially with great magical support and also large armored monsters, the lack of anti-large AP is still pretty real for vampire counts. Of course, you have things like Terror, Geist, but of course, Blood Knights would also probably be pretty good in this matchup as well. We'll see. Kind of just depends on how things play out, but definitely one thing I would highly recommend is Graveguard with great weapons. I think the regular Graveguard, the Sternsmen are probably a pretty good call. The regular Graveguard, they do offer some upside here, but I would probably take at least 2 or 3 of the great weapons alongside the Sternsmen, just for the anti-infantry damage. They're going to trade very efficiently into most Cathayan infantry, especially with healing. But yeah, pretty good stuff so far. Miao actually does get routed off, and I'm somehow unable to finish the Devils of Schwarzhofen. They are, you know, just getting missed, and like I said, the attack animations of the Sentinels are getting distracted by going into these lower value targets. They're also just a little bit painfully slow, to be honest, in terms of their turn rate. Their attack animations just take a long time to play out. It's not the quickest units in the world to do anything. So Vlad here getting double teamed, or at least attempting. The Sentinels are attempting a double team. Whether or not it's successful is another story, but he's going to call up some more zombies here just to keep trying to drag down the Dune Dragons. At this point, I might even drop a rear charge from the Devils of Schwarzhofen, like once the Celestial Dragon Guard are in a position where you can kind of nuke them from the side, perhaps, but Devils instead are focusing on the Sentinels, which is honestly probably the right call at the end of the day, just helping to support Vlad. He's got the Karstein Ring active for 60% damage distance, and even yet, after all this, is approaching his healing cap. So we'll continue to fight it out here. Miao, I think, did get felled. Yep, you can see her body right there, finished off ignominiously by the flyers of the Vampire Counts. So it'll be up to the Astromancers and the Dune Dragons to avenge her. One of the Astromancers is also down here. Definitely been a very bloody battle, despite what the balance of power may have you think. It actually probably a lot closer than it seemed there. But the Celestial Dragon Guard just carrying super hard here. Dune Dragons with their enchanted jade armor, fighting tooth and nail. Very cool stuff. Devils of Schwarzhofen are, again, still alive somehow. Likewise, the Varix Reavers have taken quite a bit of damage, but with their regeneration trait, they can continue to get passive healing as long as they don't get completely finished off. Vlad also summon up one more round of zombies. I think it's pretty much done at this point. I haven't been keeping track, to be honest, but it is a lot of zombie summons. Vlad himself, of course, also AP, pretty strong combatant, so helping to contribute in these fights a little bit to get some rogue peasants back. Nice peasant long spears getting in here, helping to push the Varix Reavers away for the time being. And we'll keep it in cinematic cam as the Sentinels kind of get together, have a little discussion, maybe do a little fist bump, touch blades, and then move on. Yep, Dune Dragons now formed up into a little circle, just completely surrounded by zombies. We'll check on their kill total at the end of the battle, but probably very impressive considering they've just been grinding down this whole battle. And almost a 10-minute slog, you know, it is typical of Vampire Counts to have longer games given their attritional play style. And especially with a build like this where I was kind of playing into that to a degree with Cathay. Now, if the Vampire Counts player went for a very dedicated blob, like I can think of some blobs from a Vampire Counts perspective that could probably beat this. We'll see. I mean, the meta has definitely quite a bit of time to develop, but at least on the surface, Cathay seems to have pretty decent tools in this matchup, similar to something like High Elves, or maybe not quite as good as Dark Elves, but pretty close. I mean, units with Harmony, if you can maintain your missile units, which is going to be very tricky to do, but just in general, Cathayan units tend to have pretty good leadership for the cost, especially for a human faction. But yeah, this Sentinel almost down, surprisingly enough. Vlad's been doing a great job with the Devils and with the Cavs and everything, just kind of whittling him down over time. The Banshee fighting the Dune Dragons, maybe not the best. It might peel her to go fight the one unit left that doesn't have magic attacks, which is the regular Celestial Dragon Guard here. But anyway, a couple of big hits on Vlad from the Sentinel as it's able to finally land some attack animations, and should be quickly approaching army losses. And could you imagine being, like, I get that vampires have, like, supernatural reflexes and are super fast and whatever, but could you imagine trying to dodge, like, that giant spinning terracotta blade? Absolutely terrifying. One more Invocation of Nehek just to top up the Banshee. Might have actually put that on the Varix Reavers myself, just to try and keep some of their models up, considering their innate regeneration will stack on top of that, but at the end of the day, it's only going to help so much, you know, cycle charging these two elite halberds to death and the two not halberd monsters, although they do kind of have dual-sided glaives. No anti-large, but you get what I mean. Just all too much to deal with. So at this point, pretty much all the vampire forces have been vanquished. Vlad's just taken his last few swings here. Still not even crumbling yet, which is quite impressive, but there you go. We'll fast forward through the bitter end, as it's going to take a few more swings for them to actually get the job done, right? And there it is. So, well played to my opponent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. Bit of a slog, but look at the kill totals on the Celestial Dragon Guard at the end of the day. 618 kills and 1925 on value. That's 50,000 damage dealt. Absolutely insane. The Celestial Dragon Guard also, the other one, 300 kills, only 1,000 damage value. 20,000 damage dealt, 22,000 exactly, yeah, almost exactly. 3,000 on MIAO herself. Also, both the Sentinels get quite a bit of value. I mean, you would expect to see some inflated values, just given the fact that it's vampire counts. Both of the Astromancers, they only cost like 950 with no spells on the wagons, so that's fairly cost effective. Then, of course, missile units struggle. It's kind of to be expected. Again, mostly just brought them for initial harmony, but hindsight, maybe it's not even worth it to do so. I don't know. I do feel like you maybe need some tools against Mortis Engine to potentially try and shoot it up, but anyway, Peasant Long Spears also trade pretty well. Vlad, of course, Monster in the Night, quite effective. Devils of Schwarzhofen, I was also very impressed by. It's an interesting unit I hadn't thought to use in this matchup, but it makes sense. You know, if you take like a strong flying force with the vampire counts, you could probably cycle charge pretty aggressively with a couple of our guys. Makes me think also that the Goose might not be the worst in this matchup. We'll have to see. Banshee also gets some really nice value considering how cheap she is and considering how rough of a situation she was sent into. So pretty good stuff. The infantry, though, all is just going to die horribly to the AoE damage. Bats get their value back, though, diving those missile units. So definitely vampire counts, flying, and mobility means that, like I said, in my mind, I didn't like infantry skirmishers with old factions against vampire counts, and given Cathay's relative lack of mobility and the fact that they will get outclassed pretty heavily by vampire counts in the air, it's a tricky situation to find yourself in, definitely. You're not going to be able to protect those missile units. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.